Hey everybody, Mike here with iSMELL. Hope this video is finding everyone well, that y'all are smelling good and feeling great. First things first, I want to send a big shout out to George over at the Fragrance Apprentice. Recently, he uploaded a video, a tag video, where he challenged me to put together a list of fragrances that, had I were to start this journey all over again, these would be the ones I would want to pick up first.
This is a tag video, so I'm going to tag iSMELL. Don't know if you know of this guy. He's one of my personal favourite reviewers at the moment. He's like a sports commentator in the world of fragrance. So fascinating, so unique in his presentation. I keep my eye on him. He's great. My good friend, you've been tagged. If you were to start this all over again, which I know that you've only started this kind of recently, but please, in your short collecting life, I would love to know what you've learned and what 10 fragrances you'd go out and immediately buy if you were to start this journey all over again.
So yeah, George, challenge is accepted. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. We have a ton of fragrances to get through in this video. I'll see y'all on the other side of the intro. Okay, so let's assume we're just starting the fragrance hobby and or God forbid in my case, are having to start from scratch. What you're gonna need is an easy to wear bold signature scent that could be worn all year around. This would be the fragrance that every other fragrance in your collection would be built around. Let's be honest, a blue fragrance slates perfectly into that slot. At the number one spot from the house of Chanel, we have Bleu de Chanel EDP. So, for those of y'all already familiar with this fragrance, you know what you're gonna get. You're getting a masculine, super mass appealing, versatile fragrance characterized by notes of grapefruit, ginger, mint, incense, and warm woods. It wears like a modern high-end body wash meets classic Aqua Velva aftershave.
There really is something about an Aqua Velva man.
I have about 10 or so blue fragrances in my collection. Nonetheless, I have no shame in admitting that this one remains my favorite. If I was building a fragrance collection from scratch, I undoubtedly would pick this one up first. At the number one spot, we're talking about Bleu de Chanel EDP. If we are going to be rebuilding a solid collection, we need to add an aquatic into the rotation. It comes to no surprise, therefore, that I'm going to be picking one of the more iconic aquatic scent profiles to have been created in the past couple decades. At the number two spot from the house of Giorgio Armani, we have Acqua di Gio Profumo. A flanker to one of the most popular fragrances of all time, Profumo improves on the easy breezy salty marine accords of the original by adding notes of incense, giving it a more mysterious and mature demeanor about itself. For as awesome as the original was, Profumo is that much better. It is the Acqua di Gio for the modern man and is going to be my choice of aquatic that I would build the rest of the aquatics in my collection around. At the number two spot from Giorgio Armani, we have Acqua di Gio Profumo. Okay, so we have a blue fragrance and now we have an aquatic fragrance. We need to add a green fragrance into the mix for spring weather. The way George feels about Man in Black is how I feel about this next one. Anybody who is already familiar with this channel knows how much I rant and rave about fragrance number 3. If there was a fragrance synonymous with this channel, I would like to think it was this one. Fragrance number 3 comes from the house of Banana Republic. It is 1/5 of their icon line. The name of this fragrance is Vintage Green 78. So everything about this fragrance I absolutely love, from the way it smells down to the imagery that it evokes when I wear it. Vintage Green 78 is characterized by notes of piney, bitter, bergamot. You're gonna have earthy green tea leaves. You're gonna have a honeyed fig note and then a lemony, waxy magnolia. The best way I know how to describe this fragrance is to imagine a cup of green tea garnished with honey and lemon. It wears beautifully, you guys. Anybody who thinks this is just your standard run-of-the-mill rack store fragrance, please take into consideration that the same person that created this fragrance is going to be the same person that created Curly Scents the Siren, a fragrance that's going for around $400 in the resale market. If I was to start this fragrance journey all over again, this would undoubtedly be one of the first fragrances I'd pick up. It's one of the very few fragrances in my collection that I've already bought backup bottles for. At the number 3 spot from Banana Republic, we have Vintage Green 78. The inclusion of a summer citrusy fragrance comes to no surprise, even more so when you consider the climate that I live in. Out here in Austin, Texas, summer days reach about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 30 or 40 degrees Celsius for those of y'all across the pond. At the number 4 spot is going to be the highly coveted citrusy summer fragrance from John Varvatos called Artisan Pure. What you get with Artisan Pure is a melange of aromatic citrus notes playing with several different types of floral petitgrain. The result is a fragrance that leaves you feeling refreshed and revigorated. This is a beautiful fragrance. It is going to be one of the better citrus musky fragrance currently on the market, regardless of price point. The only downside is that this fragrance is getting increasingly harder to find. It is one of the reasons why it would be one of the first citrus fragrances I would want to pick up if I was rebuilding my collection again. At the number 4 spot from the house of John Varvatos, we have Artisan Pure. Okay, so as we rebuild a solid collection, we're gonna need a fragrance that works well for the transitional seasons. So I'm talking about early spring and late fall here. This does tend to be a very polarizing scent. Some people love it, some people hate it. Personally, it's a fragrance that makes me feel put together every single time I wear it. At the number 5 spot from the house of Hermes, we have Terre de Hermes EDT. This fragrance is for the stable individual who is sure of himself, and it does increase that feeling of being put together. What you're gonna get on this fragrance is a dry, masculine scent profile with good longevity and awesome performance, characterized by notes of peppery orange notes meets dry, earthy vetiver and cedar. It takes conventional notes and then weaves it into something that's stylishly sophisticated without ever compromising masculinity. It becomes even more unique once you consider some of the modern trends in perfumery today. I find it to be mature, professional, and timelessly classic. It is a fragrance that just works for me. It's a fragrance that I would look to add to my collection if I, God forbid, was starting from scratch. At the number 5 spot, we have Terre de Hermes EDT. Okay, so the next fragrance we're gonna add to our list is a versatile autumn fragrance that can be used as a daily driver. I picked this one up right around a year ago and it's been a love ever since. At the number 6 spot from the house of Rojas, we have Rojas Mustache EDP. What you're getting with this one is a warm, spicy, and slightly sweet fragrance with vanillic, boozy, and rosy nuances. In the dry down, the notable notes are going to include orange, vanilla, benzoin, pink peppercorns, as well as a floral Bulgarian rose. For right around the $50 mark, you are going to be getting an extremely balanced but also complex scent profile that is elegant, but again, it never compromises masculinity. What I like about this fragrance is that it can be worn up or it can be worn down just as easily. It's a good daily driver for autumn weather. One of my favorite fragrances in my entire collection, a fragrance that I could not see not having it, which is why I included it in this list. At the number 6 spot, we're talking about Rojas Mustache EDP. So at this point, we're building a pretty solid collection. What I want to add now is a fun, lighthearted, cold weather powerhouse. I have several fragrances that could have fit the slot for this next one, but when I was being honest with myself, the one I would want to get first before any others is going to be Jean Paul Gaultier's Ultra Mall. This one does get slated in the same slot as fragrances such as 1 Million, but that's fine. At the end of the day, this one smells good, it has great performance, and it is a compliment machine. Out of all the fragrances in my collection, this one is going to be garnering me the most positive attention, and that's going to be regardless of season. This one is going to pair, no pun intended, pair notes with mint, vanilla, cinnamon, and amber, which is going to give you a warm, fresh, and extremely sweet scent profile that hints at that bubble gummy vibe. In terms of cold weather powerhouses, this one is absolutely gonna do the job. If you want a super sweet fragrances for cold weather, it's gonna cut through that air and garner you positive attention, and you're not gonna have to worry about respraying. This is definitely an awesome fragrance. It's the sweet fragrance I'm going to choose to build the rest of my sweet fragrances around. At the number 7 spot, we're talking about Jean Paul Gaultier's Ultra Mall. So I'm by no means an expert when it comes to oud. although I do believe that every solid collection should contain at least one oud-based scent profile in their collection. Hats off to George. He's actually one of the people who influenced me to purchase this next fragrance. At the number 8 spot from Hugo Boss, we have Boss Bottle Oud. With this one, you are getting possibly and quite literally maybe the most wearable oud fragrance on the market for a beginner. What they did was improved on the original spiced apple DNA, and then they included a westernized oud note, which gives this flanker more depth and complexity. If you want a non-challenging oud-based scent profile, if you're just starting out, this is one of the best options on the market, hands down. Knowing what I know now, this is not my first oud-based scent profile that I picked up, but if I was to start this fragrance journey all over again or start from scratch, it would undeniably be the first one I pick up because, in all honesty, it's the one I wear the most. At the number 8 spot from Hugo Boss, we're talking about Boss Bottled Oud. I'll be honest, I just started coming around to the note of iris. It did take me some time to fully appreciate all the nuances of this fragrance note. Now I am at the point of my journey where I can appreciate a solid iris-based scent profile, and if I was to do this thing all over again, I certainly would want to add an iris-based scent profile into my winter rotation. Shout out to Dave with Callie's Groom Room, as he's the one who recommended I pick this fragrance up. At the number 9 spot from the house of Givenchy, the fragrance is called Givenchy Gentleman EDP. I'm gonna tell y'all right now that out of all the fragrances in my collection, this one is going to dress up the best. It truly smells like it was blended for the modern gentleman. Notable notes on this one is going to include pepper, iris, vanilla, and tolu balsam. The wear is going to be sweet, powdery, and smooth, and it is going to have a creamy, woody base. I do believe this one is going to be the most functional out of all the iris options currently on the market because there are alternatives. But for the everyday person, this one is going to be the most well-rounded. If I was to start my fragrance journey all over again, this is gonna be the one that I would pick up first. Thank you, Dave, for the recommendation. I got quite a bit of wear out of it this winter. If I was to start my fragrance journey all over again, this would be the one I would pick up first. At the number 9 spot from Givenchy, we have Givenchy Gentleman EDP. Okay, so we have a pretty solid collection. We could stop at this point and be good, but no, I'm gonna include one more fragrance. I'm gonna tell y'all right now that the hype is real with this one. If I was rebuilding my collection, I would want a solid winter signature scent, and we're gonna find that with Dior, and it's going to be Fahrenheit Le Parfum. This one right here is 1 part boozy leather and another part vanillic violet. The violet is true to the OG, so you do get that ozonic petrol vibe, but it's incredibly toned back, the result being a fragrance that is more mass appealing and extremely wearable. While we're on the topic of wearability, I do believe this one is extremely versatile. It can be dressed up or dressed down. That's why I included it as a signature winter scent. Nonetheless, I do enjoy wearing this one more during the holidays, but that's because I have tons of fragrances. If I didn't have any fragrances and I just had this one, it is safe enough to be worn all year around. It's bold, it's complex, it smells unique, it's a statement maker, has good performance and great longevity. If I was building my collection for the first time, this is going to be the winter signature scent that I would build the rest of my winter fragrances around. At the number 10 spot, last but not least, we saved the best for last. I love this fragrance. If you haven't smelt it, get your nose on it. From Dior, we're talking about Fahrenheit Le Parfum. All right, you guys, that pretty much wraps up the video. Those are 10 fragrances that if I were to start this fragrance journey all over again, these would be the fragrances I would choose first. I want to thank George for including me in the tag. Thank you, brother. I really do appreciate it. I love your content. Keep killing the game, and good luck on your movie. I look forward to seeing the final product. I'm gonna tag a few people. The first person is the homie Jeremy over at House of Colossus. If you don't know who that is, go check him out. He almost has 1,000 subs. Jeremy, if you were to restart your collection from scratch, which fragrances would you choose? The second person I'm going to tag is Dedrick. His channel is Dedrick Hicks Jr. He is the homie. He has consistent and quality content. Dedrick, if you were to start your fragrance journey all over again, which fragrances would you choose? And last but not least, I'm shooting for the stars here, Ross over at TLTG Reviews. If you see this, please let me know which fragrances, if you were to start from scratch, would you choose? I would be genuinely curious to know. I really do love and appreciate all the support, guys. We have a ton of exciting content coming down the pipe, so please do stay tuned. Until next time, you guys, y'all take care, stay safe. Bye.